Okay, greetings and welcome to my channel. Sorcerer Tal. We're just starting live here. We're going to do a question and answers session on the latest video, which is the Ego Inflation Power Sap, and also working with Bellyfire. There are a few things that we will discuss here. Of course, we're going to give everyone a moment to show up. I post this in a few places. I started to already, but I just exited out at the last second there. Going live for a Q&A on Bellyfire and the Ego Inflation Power Sap. Oh, gotta add the link, or it's not going to do us much good there. Okay. Let's see. So we got one person. Let's see. We'll see if we can make Felix a moderator yet. That's not right. That's not the thing. If you're on there, Felix, if that's you, I need you to comment before I can make you a moderator, I think. Okay. So, like I said, we are going to be doing a Q&A on the Bellyfire and Ego Inflation Power Sap. We'll start with a few things about the Ego Inflation Power Sap and how exactly it causes a problem. Okay. We're going to go ahead and, well, that's Romestead Rogue. Let's see. All right. So, like I said, we'll start with the Ego Inflation Power Sap and how exactly it creates a problem. On the video, I made a common error. I mean, it is part of what we're talking about here, but the ego inflation isn't necessarily just pride. Yeah. This ego inflation can be any form of ego, which isn't necessarily, oh, I'm awesome. Ego is just concept of self. Anytime that your concept of self is being pushed into that. Now, there are people that I've seen with this go the opposite way, and whenever they're casting a spell, part of them is resisting, feeling ridiculous, and that can actually get inflated and make them feel even more and more self-conscious while they're doing magic. And obviously that's going to be a problem as well. So when I talk about the ego inflation, I'm not talking about pride. I'm talking about concept of self being intertwined with the intent of the actual casting of the spell. So in order to avoid this, as I said in the video, it's good to work on that on its own. It's an important part of astral hygiene anyways, to keep your astral form in check. And so, okay, there's Felix. We're going to go ahead and make them a mod. Oh, you know what? You're already a moderator. So apparently you're already a mod. Yeah, apparently since I made you a mod last time, it just stays. So that's perfect. Okay, so we were talking about the ego inflation power sap and about how it isn't necessarily pride or having a big ego and the idea of, oh, I'm so awesome. It can be anything that gets entwined there. In fact, ego inflation isn't the only thing that can cause this. It's anything that's distracting you in that moment. The ego inflation is a problem because it's pernicious. It sticks. It will go from one to the next. But in that moment of your statement of intent, when you're pushing the intent, you want that to be your full awareness. You don't want anything else in you in that moment. No thought of self, no thought of anything. Okay. So, there's really hasn't been a lot of questions about that. I think people actually understand that concept pretty well. I've done a few videos on it. So we're going to go ahead and get now into the Bellyfire. Okay, so I mentioned in the video that this is not a chakra thing. And I want to explain that I'm not saying the chakras aren't real and don't exist, and there isn't a chakra located there. There are other ways to invoke this fire. There's a lot of breathing techniques. The Wim Hof method, where they're heating up the body, kind of relies on a similar concept. There are many different breathing patterns that are designed to awaken this fire in a calm and controlled manner that are about self-discipline. Bellyfire is the opposite of that. We are reaching for that primal need, that hunger, that animal instinct and rage. This is something from our deep, deep past. This is something that has been with us longer than we have had thumbs. And it is that hunger, that primal drive that we are invoking with the Bellyfire. And that's why I'm not talking about the chakras. When I'm talking about letting it flame up and rise rather than coming through your nervous system or anything like that, it is because we want that raw energy. We don't want it refined into a chakra, a concept of self, a concept of anything. It is frenzy. And we're bringing it up in the way that we are as well, because we want to learn to control this. I know I just said it's about losing control in a way, but controlling that loss of, yes, well, since before we had thumbs, I think you may have misheard me. It's before we had thumbs, not before we had thoughts exactly. Because I think we thought existed before the material plane, but before we had conscious self-awareness, most definitely. This is one of the first things that life experiences, any form of life, because life feeds on life. Life hungers. All things experience this hunger, and that is what we're aiming at, driving forth that primal need, hunger, and rage, and we bring it up and out. And that's the reason that I also talked about needing to disperse it in some way, because there's a lot of vitality and power in that. But when it rises through the body, this is something that needs to take action. This isn't something that can just be left festering within us. And so when we bring up that fire, we have to use it. We have to do something. At the very least, we have to spin it and throw it out of us. And actually, I didn't mention this in the video because I feel like there wasn't enough time, but that in and of itself can be used as a type of no, they are not. Hunger and rage are not synonymous in this, but they are part of the same thing. They are part of that same primal push. That deep hunger causes a rage. It causes a frenzy. When we are that hungry, we become frenzied, like a feeding frenzy. These are all things that are part of it. Hunger, rage, they are all things that build up that fire, that need to destroy. Yeah. And that is very much part of what Bellyfire is. It's not necessarily an evil or bad thing, but it is destructive. It is something that needs to consume. And so the reason that I'm bringing it up in this manner, rather than with breath and the belly and keeping it channeled, is because we are then going to focus it in another way so that we can control that primal urge. Because we do want it refined by the time we actually move with it. But we want to work our way up to this. So we're learning to invoke the belly fire. We're learning to push it out. And then as it goes out, what we're going to be doing is allowing ourselves to flame up and rise and envision ourselves going all the way up to our higher self and coming back down as cords that attach to the self. And then in that moment, as those attach, we will be using that exercise that we've also been working on with the seeing past your eyes or seeing with your eyes open. We've done several videos on that recently where you are allowing your eyes to unfocus while maintaining focus and being able to see the patterns. And once we add these together, we are able to move with belly fire and move in a way that is directed by the higher self. And that's where the actual physical self-defense comes into this, because it is a way to engage that primal self, that primal power, in a way that is controlled and doesn't just lead to complete frenzy. And this allows us to direct it and see forward in our movements and the movements of our opponents. Okay, so that's where we're going with the belly fire, is eventually evoking ourselves into a state of controlled frenzy. I've done a few videos on that. There are many different ways to reach frenzy, but this is one of the most user-friendly. The other ones, there's one video where I invoke it, and if you watch that video, actually, we'll see if we can, let's go ahead and put a link to that in the chat. Let me find that. Frenzy Gnosis. Make sure this is the one. Right, how do I do that without making? Yep, this is the one. Okay, get that link here. This was from quite a while ago, but it is a great example of what we're working towards. And a lot of these methods of entering that frenzy gnosis, they're very hard to pull out of. It's hard to control. Like in the method that I show you there, once I fully begin entering into the state, and I can't allow myself to completely go there, I am about to attack the camera. I'm about to lose control of that. And the way that one works is with the tying of the knife into your hand, you actually begin the process of entering the primal state. But see, again, that one's hard for me to even discuss and to visualize myself doing that without kind of feeling it. And that one, you just kind of have to work your way out of it if you go the full way. Like I said, in that video, you'll see at the end there that I'm really struggle to pull myself out. And that's what we want to avoid. And so that's why we're working with this belly fire, rising to the higher self and back down, and then opening up the eyes. Okay, so I feel like there was some more questions I was asked this week on the videos. Let's just go ahead and look at the comments here, see what I've if I've missed anything recently that I haven't responded to. Not in this latest one. Must have been the one before that. Oh, that was Onyx. Yeah, the reaching through a picture and how we're learning to see with our, essentially, see with more than just our eyes. Like I said, we've done a couple exercises on that lately. And that's the final part of this. You bring up the belly fire, you allow it to inflame and rise, and then it hits the head and goes up. And this one you can visualize as your crown chakra. Your crown chakra, the flames rise, come up, and this activates the crown chakra. You simply allow the flames to activate it. As in, you just know that it will happen. Yeah, this is something that needs to be taught to do. So allowing is the right word, but in order for that to occur, you need to simply know that it is going to happen, and then allow it. And the crown chakra opens up, firing up, going up towards your personal sigil and your higher self, and then back down to the hands, and you allow yourself to see past your eyes, and then you're in the perfect state. The question I'm answering right now, not entirely sure. I'm simply trying to go through the process. Let's see. There was some questions recently. I think they actually might have been on some of the other videos. Let's see, comments for this video. Oh yes, there was some talk. There was some discussion about in the last video I talked about connecting with people and using a picture to send energy towards someone. And there was some discussion in the comments about how that isn't necessarily time sensitive. And this is true. When you send that type of sigil or try to contact someone with it in a dream, the time is not necessarily going to work out. In that video, I did say sending something to them, and if they think about you at the same time, to note that as a success. But this is assuming that the person on the other end is expecting this, they are open, and they are open to it. And yes, if they think about you in the experiment at times where you're not thinking about it, that could be a result of you actually doing it. But it should sync up better if you're both conscious, as in this person is going about, walking around, going about their day, and you are consciously looking at the image. It should sync up better than that. And when it doesn't, there's a possibility they just thought about the experiment. So in that particular case, it is better to stick with the timestamps and keep working towards it. But you do want to at least take notice of the other times that they've thought about it. And if your technique is actually causing more. So what you can do at that point is change the technique some and see if they think about you less or more. Because the frequency of the thoughts is something kind of like a half success in this case. It's most of the way there. Okay, so well, the image would be of them. So the question is this contingent on the other person also having seen the image? The picture should be of them in order for that to work. So they are the image. Now, you could try this experiment with a place and simply, well, that would be a little complicated, really. But you could try it with a place and see that people are going and see if people mention thinking about you there. That would be one where you wouldn't tell the people. But if you had a picture of somewhere where, like a hangout spot for your group of friends, and try to project your image there when you're not there, project yourself in some way to that spot when only a couple of the people are there, and see if you get brought up for some reason. Yeah, that would be pretty hard to get the data on. This is true. So, I mean, maybe we'll just scrap that idea. We're kind of just brainstorming at that point. Let's see. Not sure there's a lot more else to cover at this point. If anyone else has any questions that they'd like to ask. I'm usually on here for a little bit longer than this, or at least plan to be. Oh, I forgot to put the link here. I thought, what did I do? I posted it twice or something? Anyways, I shouldn't allow myself to get distracted with other stuff while we're supposed to be going live here. Yeah, I posted it twice. Okay. So. Oh, that is a pretty good idea. What about sending the image of the co-experimenter, like having an image of them in a certain place and seeing if they can draw the setting? That would be a very interesting experiment. In fact, you could do that with the same person in the other room, as long as they didn't see the picture or in the same room. So this would be something you could actually try if you just have someone to work with. You could imagine them in the setting and try to send that image to them in their mind, through your mind, and see if they can draw it. That potential. There's a potential to try that. Oh, there is one other thing that I wanted to talk about. I'm going to be talking about it in my next video as well, but I finally opened a community tab. So I have a little, the community tab is somewhere we can go, and you can actually post questions there that I could answer. I haven't interacted with too many other people's community tabs much, so I'm not fully sure of how that works out, but mine is open. Let's see if I can figure out a way to put a link to it or something. Wait a minute, what was this? I think that was something I wanted to respond to. Right, I'm not going to read through all that right now on the channel. Okay. Oh my, I forgot what I was doing. Right. So it's, community tab. Just a second. Community. I thought there was a way to share it, but I don't. Visit community. Maybe not. Maybe not. Place for you and your viewers to start discussions and connect. Manage the post you want to see and help your community. Community settings. Is there something in here maybe? Weird. All right, I got all the features done. Here we go. Invite. No. Right. Well, somewhere there's a URL for it. I don't know how to do that just yet. So I guess I'm not going to be sharing that. I will figure out how to do that, and we'll post it in the description of the next live if there is a way to do it. I certainly thought there was. Maybe it's just this. I don't know if this will work or not. Let's try this. Hey, there we go. Okay. Yeah, there's the link there. So that gives you another place to ask questions. And I guess not just of me, but also of other viewers of the channel. And we can have, we can start having magic discussions on the mechanics of magical workings in there, just like we have been doing in the Sorcerer's Guild. Get some stuff going in there. That was it. Yep, that was it. It worked. Okay, so that's good to know. We can put polls in there, do all kinds of stuff. Start having a little bit more of a community in there, which is one of the things I feel like people are missing in general. Not necessarily just from my channel, but one of the things. Absolutely, yes, I will still be answering more in-depth questions about videos on the live stream. We're going to keep doing this, and yeah, I think the lives are a lot of fun. And hopefully we'll all get used to me being on Saturdays. I can't really say that I'm going to be on an exact time every Saturday, but I'm going to try and at least go every Saturday. We might start upping it more than that. Good. I'm glad you're enjoying them, Nick. Yeah, I will be trying to do this every Saturday from now on. Usually I wind up playing the flute a little bit for a while to give everyone a chance to get here. I guess I was just a little too excited to get onto the discussion today because these are both important topics. The Bellyfire is a very powerful way to evoke gnosis, not just for sorcery self-defense, but for other magical workings as well. And it is very useful in other forms of self-defense beyond the physical. And when we're doing astral workings and that sort of thing, having a way to be able to invoke that physical energy from the belly and transfer that onto the astral plane can be very useful as well. And we'll talk about that. It is something that gives us, if we're doing it properly, gives us a distinct advantage over beings who are anchored primarily on the astral plane and aren't prepared for that. I mean, some of them have seen this type of thing before, and it's not as big a deal, though it is a powerful force. Even if they have seen it before, it's something that can catch a spirit off guard in a combat situation. So it can be very useful. Just like talked before about eating spirits. It's something they don't expect. And this gives us a chance to catch them off guard. Anyways, does anyone have any more questions? I'm kind of running out of things to say at this point. Okay. Right. So we have the community tab. I feel like there's some other stuff we could get to. I haven't done any updates on my altar servitors yet. As you can see, there is at least one aquarium behind me. That one doesn't have much life in it. There is another aquarium in there that's just got one lonely little crab. Not sure what to do about that. I do have some. The primary tank is in the house, and it is going quite well. I added some philodendron to the tank that has given the regular shrimp life a little bit of trouble. It was interesting because I had some dreams about it just as it happened. Like I felt the need to do it, so I don't think I made a mistake by putting the philodendron in there. But when I did, I had these dreams about the roots of the philodendron, like catching the shrimp and landing them. And then, of course, the next day I found out that philodendron are toxic to shrimp and most water creatures. They'll grow in water themselves pretty well, but they are toxic to the creatures in there. So that's why I started that second tank with the brine shrimp that you have the short of. It's going quite well. We're going to take the philodendron out of the main servitor tank and put it in one of the gourds that I grew over the years. It's a vase, and we'll get a shrimp population going back in there because it's a great processor. The shrimp are very curious, and they have a lot of different actions and thoughts that the servitor is able to use to process its own going on. The brine shrimp, they're providing a lot of mana, and there's some processing allowed with the saline water itself being attached to the servitor. But the brine shrimp, they're not as curious. They're not as aware and doing stuff. So we're going to want to, we're going to want to up that. Anyways, I think we're about done for the day. Those of you who stuck with us, thank you for being here. Like I said, we are going to keep doing this, and I will try to gather questions throughout the week from the videos that I post and answer them here as well as in the comment section. And then we've got the community tab. The community tab is something I'm actually very excited about. It's been open for a few days, but I haven't done much with it yet. You do need to be a subscriber, of course, to enter the community. I think it's like the setting is like you have to be a subscriber for at least a week before you can post in there. But other than that, yeah, we can treat that like our own little group, I think. Like it does posts, and we can reply and comment and everything that we could do in the Sorcerers Guild on Facebook. Not that we're not going to continue doing that as well, but this is another area, an avenue for us to not only answer questions, but provide community support to each other. Because that's what I was saying earlier. One of the things that I feel is missing from the world at large is a sense of community. And perhaps we can provide a little bit of that for each other in there. Anyways, I'm going to call it there. Bright blessings and an interesting fate. This has been Sorcerer Tal.